Good morning, I'm Marice Barratt. I'm here again. I've got another meditation for you, something to think about this week. We're now into April. It's well into spring. I want to talk about a balanced life. Well, there's lots of areas where we can talk about balance, but I want to talk about the balance between work and rest. Well, there's lots of areas where we can talk about balance, but I want to talk about the balance between work and rest. If you work a 5-day week, that's not God's plan for creation. A 7-day working week is not God's plan for creation. God instituted this balance right at the very beginning of creation, and after God's work, he rested. And God told Moses in the law that even the fields have to rest after the 6th year. I'll just read it, Genesis 2, verse 2 and 3. This is God's order. On the 7th day, God ended his work which he made and rested on the 7th day from all his work which he had made. God blessed the 7th day and sanctified it, because in it he rested from all his work which God created and made. So Exodus 23:11. God tells Moses, but the 7th year you shall let it rest, this is your field, that the poor of the people may eat, and what they leave the beasts of the field shall eat. In like manner deal with your vineyard and with your olive yard. We used to leave fields in fallow in Great Britain years ago. Now we want to increase the crop, so we put fertiliser on, but this was God's order. So why did God rest? Let's ask the question. Does he run out of energy? Does he need rest like we do? Well, obviously not. Don't forget this was before sin. God worked 6 days, rested on the 7th. So why did God rest? Well, number one, to assess his work. Every day, at the end of the day, he said it's good. And on the 7th day, he said it's very good. So that's a good reason to rest, to assess your 6 days that you've worked. Another reason God rested on the 7th was to show us his great plan for creation. You see, God will work for 6,000 years. It's coming up to 6,000 years, and God's been working on this earth. And then God's going to rest for 1,000 years. And his son, Jesus, will rule with his bride. That's hopefully you. So when Jesus reigns, it's God's sabbatical. So the 6+1 is a very important principle in the Bible. You know, it's not a throwaway line when Peter said a day with the Lord is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is a day. He could have said 100 years, 10 million years. It wasn't by chance he said 1,000. You know, everything's important in the Bible, and he was letting us know this key. That's in 2 Peter 3:8. Do not be ignorant, and he's talking about the last days. This one thing, that the day of the Lord is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as a day. So I suggest you keep that principle. I'm not talking about becoming under the law of Moses. This is nothing to do with the law of Moses. In fact, it's in the 10 Commandments, but God said, keep it holy. It wasn't instituted in the 10 Commandments. It was already instituted at creation, so God says, remember it and keep it holy. Don't forget, Sabbath is made for man, not man for the Sabbath. It's not a legal thing to tie us. It's the best way to live. How many Christians have ill health? Because they don't keep this order. How many pastors are stressed out? Because they're on call 7 days a week. They're wrong. How can you expect God to keep you stress-free if you don't use this principle? Mark 2:27, Jesus said the Sabbath was made for man, not man for Sabbath. Well, we know number 7's a perfect number in the Bible, but, you know, number 7 is made up of 6+1. That's what makes 7, 6 work, 1 rest. So, I'm not being legalistic. If you've got to work on the Sabbath, the priest worked on the Sabbaths. I sometimes work on the Sabbath because I'm preaching. Then have another day off. But it was made for us so we can be healthy and more productive. Think about it. Get your day of rest and you'll get more achieved in the long run. God bless you. See you for the next vlog. Have a great week.